Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Winter 2021 Warning Shot. Next up, we have Metal Gear Ghost Babel by CDOS Kez. Thank you very much for joining us and take it away.
Yes, thank you. This is Metal Gear Ghost Babel. We're playing on Japanese version because it's faster. There are a lot of interesting and fun things to discuss throughout this game. So let's jump into it. And we'll be going on easy in 3, 2, 1, go. Fanfare.mp4. So it starts off with this weird unskippable cutscene. We're being flown into the Fortress Galluade, which was built on the former site of Outer Heaven, interestingly. And depending on how well or badly the run goes, I might show you a nice little Easter egg at the end. But yeah, we start off in this little jungle area. It's very simple. It takes 35 seconds unless something goes horrifically wrong. And then we can actually play the game, which will be enjoyable. Yeah. Yeah, so the first few stages in this, we're not even going to pick up a weapon. It's all just going to be fairly movement-based, just getting around the guards, making sure we're in the right place to sneak by their fields of view, which in this game are about a pixel wide and about 10 pixels long, so you can get away with a lot. In this next room, we're going to do the fantastic speed strategy of holding up. And we made it through the hold-up room, excellent. So this bridge is quite interesting. If we hug that wall a little bit and then run into the middle, again, myopic guards, none of them will see anything. Sneak on through, head home to victory, 35 seconds. I have a world record in that stage, along with 24 other people. And as any true Metal Gear game goes, we have a title card after a first mission that is largely not a lot to do with the rest of the game, which is always nice. This game, what is it? Why is it? Metal Gear Solid 1 was released, and it was critically very well received. Everybody thought it was wonderful and great. And Konami Europe decided that they wanted something to hop on that bandwagon with this brand new Game Boy Color system, and suggested making Metal Gear Solid for the Game Boy Color. And this is that. It boasts 8-directional movement, which is a step above Metal Gears 1 and 2. You can flatten yourself against a wall and tap it, like in Metal Gear Solid 1, which is, again, a step up from Metal Gear 1 and 2. Has something approaching 180 VR missions, alternate versions of various levels within the game, and after the first playthrough on European and Japanese, it has a radio play. So here in this room, we're going to see a punch buffer. I punch once, it's a known quantity of time that allows me to slip by areas or guards with precision without actually having to be able to see anything, which will become very important slightly later on in the run. But for now, we get to have a nice codec conversation with one Chris Jenner, an American Delta Force operative, if she is to be believed. Spoiler warning, she's not. But she is holed up within within a watchtower inside of Fortress Galluade, which Campbell mentions in MGS2. And we have to go and meet up with her and finish the mission, which is to obviously destroy a Metal Gear. Fun fact, best Metal Gear in the series. I will not be taking criticism. And obviously we're playing this on easy. The differences between easy, medium, well, easy, normal, hard, and very hard are basically the amount of health you have, the amount of items and ammunition you can carry, and the amount of guards that spawn. But for some reason, on easy, there are rooms that are identical to very hard, which is a bit strange, but easy is technically the fastest version of the run because it's the path of least resistance, and I also am not very good at video games. Here's a crawling mechanic. Wasn't that fun? So, another thing, take a shot, that makes this a step up from the classic NES and MSX Metal Gear games is keycard stack. So we don't have to... got caught on a wall there. Keycard stack, which means that we don't have to faff around trying to find the right keycard for the right door. If we have the keycard for the door equipped, we can get through that door, and that makes life so much smoother. At the beginning of this next section here, we will be going through a sewer, and I will let Bad Humans explain what's going on, because I need to focus.
Hey, what's up? So we're gonna try to skip some waves. But before we skip some waves, we got some rooms where we have to navigate through. And the first room has 2 guards. Does it still have 2 guards on easy?
It only has one guard on easy, which is
Oh,
lovely.
easy. We'll see some rats. That's always exciting. Rats in the sewers. And then we'll see some waves. And we're gonna try to manipulate the waves. So what's gonna happen is the wave's gonna pass the screen. And we're going to pass the screen at the same time. So in between the screen transitions, the wave won't damage us, it won't send us back, and we'll be able to move quite along. And then we're going to try to skip another wave. That one's a little trickier. That one requires us to get there pretty speedy. And if we don't, it's okay. We'll take the safer route, which is always good. And we only lose about like 5 seconds anyway.
Yeah, in the grand scheme of things, with various areas in which you can save time in this game, missing second wave skip is not really much to worry about.
So here it comes. The first wave skip, everyone does it differently. Ply does a punch buffer. Jag looks at the radar and uses sound. I use the screen transition and sound. I think Kaz is gonna be using the punch buffer method.
Yes.
So here we go. We're gonna hit this ladder immediately. And now we're gonna head right through the screen transition, but because we're gonna be punch buffering in between, we should pass the wave.
Oh, that's a bad miss.
Now it's quite okay. We have
Okay.
plenty of health to try again.
Yep. It's those running nerves.
See, it's okay to mess up the first wave because the time is still the same. Messing up the second wave kind of screws up the time just a little bit, but it's still okay because there are backup methods to that. It's okay, we skipped the first wave, and now we're going to try to skip the... did it catch you?
Yeah, it caught me.
No big deal.
That's okay.
We'll get on that ladder. We'll wait for this wave to get down. You could also wait in the structure above and let it hit you and keep going, and that way you don't have to worry about getting on a ladder or anything. But this is the safest route as well, and as soon as we get past this wave, we're going to be above ground.
Home and dry out of them sewers. There is a way to get on that ladder that you saw me take for the safer strats, and then punch buffer your way across the next screen, but I'm not very good at timing that one. Yeah, so now we're in... Sorry, carry on.
No, I was just going to say it's tricky.
Yeah, it's definitely one of the harder bits of movement tech in this game, I would personally say. But now we're in the Watchtower, where we will be meeting up with Sergeant Chris Jenner, and you may notice that I am running into walls a lot here. Why am I doing that? If you run at a wall diagonally, then enemies following you or trying to hit you will also aim diagonally, even if you're, like, next to them. So there are a lot of cases wherein running with our face pressed against the wall makes outmaneuvering guards a lot easier and a lot safer. And also, our diagonal movement is not normalized, so point A to point B diagonally and point A to point B horizontally and vertically are the same, so we can kind of like line ourselves up at the end of a wall to slip by without sacrificing any speed, which is very useful in some situations.
You'll notice Kaz right there punched before going through that door, and that's because these doors that require key cards, if you get to them too close and you don't wait for them to open, you'll put your back up against the wall and you'll lose time. That's why we do a little punch buffer, you know, to get through without our backs being on that wall at all.
And here's another fun bit of tech. In this game, we time the leaderboard based off in-game time. In-game time stops when we pause. The elevators won't move until the doors are shut or open, but the doors will still close or open whilst the game is paused. So on the inside of an elevator, we'll hit the button to make it move, and then we'll pause until we hear the sound of the elevator moving. It saves us a few frames, but over the course of an entire run with as many elevators as this game has, it saves a frankly silly amount of time for what it is, and it helps a lot. Here we are with running diagonally into walls to sort of line everything up, and in this room we have the speed tech of holding left. So in this room there are lasers, and we're supposed to get out our fogger, which is what this game has replaced cigarettes with in an attempt to be family friendly. You still see Snake smoking in the opening cutscene. But because this is any percent, which means we don't care about things like how many guards we kill, how many times we're found, how many rations we used, we can just run through that room like it's nothing and just try and avoid the guards as best we can. So this is Kris Jenner. We were told that we could find her by her hair in a ponytail and a red hat. Here is Snake with all of his abs. And she is telling us now the story of this game. We're 4 stages in. It seems like an appropriate time. There's an American mercenary group called the Black Chamber, who are made up of 5 people, 4 of whom we see now. We have Pyro Bison, who likes fire, Slasher Hawk, who is tall, Marionette Owl, who likes puppets, and we have Black Arts Viper, who is Kazuhira Miller. Not canonically, but he is Kazuhira Miller. And they are helping the people of Gindra, the country we are in, deter the American Special Forces and UN troops, who are there for peacekeeping purposes, allegedly, by helping them to steal the Metal Gear to basically bully the other countries to leave them alone and let them heal after French colonization. And that is pretty much the entire plot of the game. This next section is a bit of an auto-scroller. We're going to see Kris move through a room and then follow her through them every time we move into a new room. Our alert will clear if we have one. And we get sort of spots of watching her move through the door so that we know where to go, which is nice. It means that I don't actually have to remember how to do this bit of this stage, because the game helpfully gives me the cheat sheet. So in this room, there are chaff grenades. As you've seen in other runs today, they stop cameras from being able to see you. But because we're playing on easy, and a thing was found which we'll show off later called a cam shot, chaff grenades are not required. Which is nice, because they are very fiddly.
If you've played Metal Gear 2, this room will look somewhat familiar. It's basically the same structure, the maze-like room. This game has a lot of callbacks to those earlier Metal Gears. And now we're just going to keep running, and is there a guard that comes down on easy as well?
There is, yes. The reason why we kill that guard at the top of the screen is because that gives us enough punch buffers to perfectly sneak behind that guard without having to slow down. Which is nice, and I believe that that is the case on all of the difficulties in this.
Yes.
Gonna take a quick sip. Ooh, I missed a pause there. That was very silly of me. But yeah, the rest of this stage, about halfway through it, we do get different scenery, which is nice. I do enjoy in this game how every few stages there is a single map that you explore all of across various levels. It makes it feel like a physical space that exists rather than just a series of unconnected rooms, which is something I enjoy in video games personally.
I see a
In this
comment. Oh, go ahead, Kez.
Oh no, you carry on. It's not important.
I was just gonna say I see a comment about the pixel art. I just want to say the pixel art is done by Ikuya Nakamura, who did a lot of the texture and rumble work of the previous Metal Gear games, and also directed the Boktai series, four games in that series. So yeah, really beautiful pixel work and very smooth animation, from the walking animation to Snake's bandana.
Yeah, the art and animation in this game is ridiculously pretty. It's one of the things that drew me to this in the first place when I saw Plywood playing it at GDQ was just how visually striking it is. So in this room, as you can see, we have a number of buttons and a number of doors. It is a puzzle. We have to work out how to get through this. I would imagine playing this casually, a lot of trial and error would ensue, but luckily we have, on the Metal Gear Speedrunners wiki, we have a sheet that tells us which buttons to press and in what order. And in this case, the last button he pressed was 4, so we know that the sequence is 4, 2, 1, 4. And then we can slip on past there, and I can throw my phone over there somewhere because I don't need my notes anymore.
Ha!
Here is a bird. If you would like to explain dogs, because I need to concentrate.
Yes, they are dangerous. Enough said. So this dog that Kez just hit, the lower you hit that dog, the lower it'll come down. If you hit it too high, it'll stay up and catch you. You don't want these dogs to catch you. They're harmless if they run diagonally. But if they run perpendicularly to where you are, forget about it. They'll chase you down and make you lose a life.
And their hitbox sort of uses the length of the animal itself as a radius. So they can hit you from like half a screen away if you're not lucky. But on the way down, if we run in a certain place there and over the mud, we can completely skip out on aggroing any of those dogs. Similarly in this room, if we get about here and do one punch buffer, it means that we can be outside of their sort of sphere of intelligence and avoid them chasing us, because even on easy, the dogs can kill you without any difficulty whatsoever.
Just a
So we
quick
like to-
note about that mud, because don't let it fool you. It will slow you down, but Kez was writing on the mud on the edges, and it doesn't apply. It won't affect your speed whatsoever. So that's why Snake didn't slow down at all during that mud sequence. Sorry,
So
Kaz.
here is the... Pardon?
Sorry.
It's okay. So here's our first boss, Slasher Hawk. He is from Australia, and canonically speaking, he has very long legs. The idea is we're going to throw grenades at him. His iframes last approximately 3 seconds. Halfway through, he'll send his eagle after us, and hopefully it won't hit us. But just in case, I do have a ration out, because I want to make sure that I can actually get this fight done without taking an unwanted continue, because that would of course be slow. That was a wasted grenade.
Hawk has 2 types of boomerangs, green and red one. The green one will attack in a zigzag pattern, while the red will hit you at a slant. And now we're entering the second phase, where he releases the bird on you. And this can get pretty dicey on higher difficulties, and even here too, but the bird is much slower in lower difficulties. Now in
And
every
that is
boss
Slash
fight,
Hawk down.
don't worry about if you waste too many grenades. Grenades will respawn in every single boss fight, with the exception of first phase Metal Gear, where if you don't have enough weapons, you're gonna have to take your own life.
So here we learn about how Slasher Hawk was born in Australia and given up as a orphan, and then adopted by a couple of Aboriginals in Australia. But the rest of the village were wary of him, and when his parents passed away, he left to join the Special Forces in America, because that is how Special Forces work, Mr. Kojima. And next we're going to go and get sorted by some postal machines. Anybody that I know that has played this game casually, I mentioned that I run it and they say, okay, but how do you do the box level? So this is the barracks. There are a lot of soldiers here. As you go through the game, the sort of scary factor of the enemies goes up, to the point where in the final area they can take like 4 times of getting knocked out before they disappear. And look, we have a box. There is a tier list of box for this game. Yellow is S tier. The second box we pick up will be a D tier, and then the third box we pick up will be an A tier. So these are those sorting boxes I mentioned. You notice how they have coloured lights on top of them. That corresponds to the colour of box you wear, and obviously you can change your boxes between sorting stations to get to where you need to go. I've never actually done this, like a full playthrough of this game casually, so I have no idea how you're supposed to work this out without already knowing, but and I'm also holding in the direction that I'm currently travelling in, because it adds our crouched walking speed on top of the speed of the conveyor belts, so it makes things go just that little bit faster and smoother.
You could also pick up the the S tier yellow box in the sewer section had you want to travel a little further east on that last sewer screen. But we can pick it up where Kaz picked it up as well.
I hate that movement there, but we got through it. That guard can sometimes just see you for no reason, no matter how well you move, no matter how fast you are. He can sometimes just turn around and then your run is in trouble. So when I get inside of this elevator, I'm going to do something that seems a little bit counterintuitive, and I'm going to blow myself up twice. This is for a skip that will happen later on in the game, that we will explain when we get there, but it requires me being able to kill myself pretty quickly. And the easiest way to do that is to throw grenades at myself in the elevator where guards can't cause an alert and come and disturb me. A lot of runners will on easy, you'd usually throw 3 grenades at yourself in the lift. But I like to throw 2 because the grand total of difference in time is 1 grenade throw, and it gives me more peace of mind for the skip in which we're doing, so that I don't accidentally have to redo it multiple times. So yes, last time around the conveyor belt we picked up the D tier box, which is this one, a very garish shade of red. Now in a minute, I mentioned earlier that we don't need chaff grenades because of a very nice trick that has been found. That trick involves a gun. If you fire sort of vaguely near a security camera, it will just not see you. We call that a cam shot. I fire there, I run past the camera, and it can't see me. We're not entirely sure why this works, but we are very grateful that it does, because there are occasions where it is highly needed. And we only need to go around the conveyor belt system once more now. to pick up the blue box, and we will have everything we need to move towards late stage.
One quick note about the cam shot is that you want to fire an unsuppressed weapon, so or a firearm. So an R5 assault rifle or an unsuppressed 5.7 will work. A suppressed 5.7 will not work.
That's quite interesting.
We'll be picking
So
up the blue box next.
Yes.
A tier.
Last time we went through this sorting station, we went up with yellow. This time we're going down with the red. And as you go further and further through the conveyor system, you have to swap boxes more frequently. And when you're sort of getting used to the run, it's very easy to like miss a box change by a fraction of a second and end up having to do the entire stage like all over again. Now there is a ration up there, but we don't need it. There are stun grenades over here. Stun grenades are incredibly useful because I'm not sure how it is on other difficulties, but on easy, when an alert happens, there will be 3 guards that rush in to attack you. And if you throw a stun grenade, it can take all 3 of them out at once, as well as having some other fun properties that we'll explore in the next stage.
And there's a benefit of forcing an alert. All the doors open up themselves, so you don't have to wait for a door to open up once you cause an alert.
Yes. If you have a key card on you for a door and there is an alert going, that door will just obligingly open, and that is something that we like to take quite a bit of advantage of in this. I was a bit too far away from that button. So what we're about to do in terms of the skip I foretold, the developers kind of worked out that people might do it and put in mechanics to stop the game from getting confused. But the way we're supposed to do this is go all the way around everything, go to what is basically the last room of the stage, pick up some thermal goggles, and then go all the way around again to get some C4, to then go back to the room where we picked up the thermal goggles and use the C4. That's very slow, and we don't like to do that. So instead we're going to go in blind, and we're going to manipulate a little bit of RNG so that we can confidently move through the darkness and hopefully not get an alert, because if we get an alert in the room we're going to, it will fill with gas, the doors will lock, and we will have to take a continue, which is less than ideal. If you could explain what's going on here, bad humans.
We will be taking a death here because it helps us manipulate the lasers to where we want and understand where they will be, so we can get past this and not pick up the thermal goggles. So we die, exit the room, because that's where the checkpoint is, inside the room, come back, punch. Now it depends on your punching speed, but you know, it's usually 8 times. You run past the first laser, you punch 8 times for the second laser, then twice for the last laser, and you're out. And now we're going to meet Jimmy, who you can kind of see at the bottom of the screen. He's this little red guy right there. There he is. Bye, Jimmy. And we're going to go pick up some C4s.
And of course, we're going to have to do the dark room backwards on the way back, of course. But it's usually, I find, easier on the way back, or maybe I'm more comfortable on the way back.
Just as long as you don't meet up with Jimmy, because if you meet up with Jimmy, you get that checkpoint. If you get that checkpoint, it's going to be hard to get out of this section. You want the next checkpoint to be again in the dark room, but on the other side. That way we can do the same thing we did going in as we are going to be doing getting out. So we'll be taking a death in the beginning of the dark room, punching 7 times. Again, it depends on the speed of your punch. Running past the first 2 lasers, and on the third one you punch 9 times, and then you're out. You pay attention to your radar here too, so you can see where the mechanisms with the lasers are.
Oh, first try. That's lovely.
Nice.
So now we just need to get down to a certain wall and then blow it up with a certain C4. And that is this stage completed. One interesting thing that I found out when my friend was mapping this game, the way you're supposed to know which walls to blow up is you're supposed to flatten yourself against them and tap to see if they sound hollow. And if they do, then it's blow-upable. But there are some places in this game that have absurd amounts of walls that could possibly be blow-upable. But luckily, we have resources to know the route to go.
Something I found out recently is that Jimmy's breath stinks. Because watch when he gives Snake the thermal goggles, Snake just backs up completely. He's like, whoa, step back, fat man. Give it some time. We have to wait 5 minutes for this, but it's there.
I think that might be the best time I've ever done that stage in, which is nice.
Under 8 minutes is really good.
Because when I started learning this, I used to go and pick up the night vision goggles because I was like, I'm never going to be able to get the dark room skip. But it's like really easy as long as you actually pay attention, which is something I struggle with sometimes. So, it's all gone dark. Why has it gone dark? The terrorists, the GLF or GLHF if you prefer, are preparing to test fire Gander and its railgun. But that requires an awful lot of power, so all the lights have gone out, which means we must now navigate with thermal goggles, which luckily Jimmy will give us.
Watch how Snake stands back as soon as he gets the thermal. There he is. He just stands back a bit. He's like, whoa. Social distancing, Jimmy, please.
Jimmy is not understanding. So now we get to go through the same level again, but this time in red. That guard there is asleep. If we just run past him, he will never catch us, as long as we hug the wall. Here, I'm going to throw a grenade, well, a stun grenade, to cause an alert which stops the guard here from spawning, which means that we can just run on by like nothing happened, and then clear our alert. And as we mentioned earlier, with doors opening, we have the keycard for this, so we just throw a stun grenade at it, and it opens for us. But on easy, our alerts and our cautions go down a lot faster than on other difficulties, which means that we have to make really sure that we get to this room whilst we're still on alert. Otherwise, there's a lot of faffing around to get this door open. I was on a very good pace once. I got to that point, didn't realise that my alert had been cleared, and spent just sort of 3 minutes stood around wondering why the door was shut before my brain finally clicked. So in this room up here, at the end of the sorting boxes, instead of heading right this time, we're going to head left and get blasted in the face with a codec conversation between Chris and Jimmy.
We're actually on our way to meet the second boss, Marionette Owl.
Yes, Marionette Owl has a strange gimmick in that he has 2 dolls that look nothing like him, but in thermal vision, he turns into one of them and flies around the screen, and you have to shoot the correct one, otherwise you get knives thrown at you, which is distracting at best. There is a way to get night vision goggles so that you can actually visibly see the difference between Marionette Owl and his puppets, but then he throws flashbangs at you every 5 seconds, which makes it very difficult to play.
Luckily, the thermal goggles is all that we need for Owl.
I also like how the game auto-equips the thermal goggles for you at the beginning of this fight, just because that saves some faffing around with menus. Menuing in this game is strange, because it was made for Game Boy Color. They had a very limited number of buttons to use. So you go into your pause menu and then press either up or down to change items, or left and right to change weapons, and it can be a little bit unwieldy.
Also, the
And
start
that is-
button. Oh, go ahead, Kaz.
I was just going to say that's Marionette Owl done.
Nice job.
Thank you.
I was just gonna say that the start button is used for crawling in this game, just to give you an idea of how much how much this game needed more buttons.
I really believe that if Konami ever finds it within itself to make sense, a sequel to this, but like with a sort of Game Boy Advanced kind of control layout rather than a Game Boy Color control layout. So just like having an analog for the shoulder buttons would make this game even better than it already is, just for like ease of use on the consumer end.
I think
So,
that's- Oh, I was just gonna say, I
No,
think
you-
this is that's what Boktai is, because Boktai is a stealth puzzle game. It's very
Ooh.
similar to this. It's almost the same team from this as well, but it's not this.
So, this room with these doors and those buttons, they are there to fool you. They expect you to spend time trying to work out the pattern in which you press the buttons. And if you take too long, a guard walks down and shows you that all of those doors are just open. You just run up the middle of them. And now we're in a minefield. I'm taking a very specific route which takes us through the fewest mines possible in the fastest way, and then crawling through them to pick up those mines. Because getting blown up by mines is slow, and we want to be fast. And there is a helicopter which is distinct from the one in Metal Gear Solid 1.
Oh, this is my favorite track of the from the game actually, and you don't get to hear it for very long.
The music in this game is incredible. I think every single track, every time I do a run, it just gets like stuck in my head on loop for a week. It's amazing.
The composer is Norihiko Hibino, who is also the composer for Snake Eater, and did a lot in Dead Cell Yell, and a lot of the earlier Metal Gear games. I think his last work is on Peace Walker for a track called Little Brother. We'll be revisiting this stage later on. We're at stage 7 now, going to stage 8, which we'll be spending the next 2 stages in, and then we will return here for stage 10. So we're going back through the mine field with a bunch of bombs being dropped on top of us, and a lot of obstacles just to get to the goal. But we'll be able to do it, no problem. Picking up that claymore, head to the goal, easy peasy.
I like to call stage 7 the half Kate Bush because we run up the hill, but we don't run up the mountain.
Not yet. Not yet.
And here we get a communique from the general of the GLF to inform us that he knows we're here, and we can try and snoop about all we like, but we can't stop him. So, of course, what we're going to do now is blow up the power plant that powers Gander and stop him.
We spoke a little bit about the AI from the Tango, from the Arsenal Guts room in MGS2. If you've ever been lucky enough, you'll see the Ghost Babel code and the MGS1 kernel 2D portrait sprite within those calls during some of the crazy, wacky things the Colonel says to you.
So we're now entering stage 8. In this stage, we have to pick up a key card and then go and fight a boss. On the way, I'm going to be investigating certain areas of the map, i.e. running up to them and having a look. Because in the next stage, there will be 4... this is a pillar. There will be 4 pillar spots where we have to blow it up with C4. But those are randomized every run. If anyone can work out how to manipulate the RNG of that, please let me know. But yeah, we'll have to blow all those up. So as I move through stage 8 towards the boss, I will be keeping my eye out for various points that we know could be exposed pillar beams, so that when the next stage comes, I can already have an idea of the route I need to take in my head and make the whole sequence a little bit faster.
It's similar to what you have to do in MGS3 when you place the C4, the 4 C4s. Only here, there's an element of RNG that you have to deal with. You gotta look for them. You gotta find them.
There's also a lot of damage boosting in this stage.
Right, because we're gonna be skipping a weapon that we need, and thus entering the Nikita skip.
So this is a vent we are crawling through. With any luck, this will be the only vent we need to crawl through in the run. If we are deeply unlucky, there will be 2 more. Where we're going, we could theoretically run to, but there is a puddle that is being electrified in our way, and we can't just jump in and hope for the best. So we crawl through, get to the other side, and then disable that generator, which means that if we do have to come back here later in the stage or the game, we don't have to faff around with crawling, which is a very welcome change. And I don't have my keycard equipped.
You also disable these by either a grenade or Nikitas. And we'll be using grenades since Nikitas are on the 2nd floor, and we'll be avoiding the 2nd floor completely on this stage.
That right there is one of the pillar locations that we'll have to come back and blow up. If we keep that in mind, hopefully we won't go wrong. So, yeah, as Bad Humans said, we're going to be skipping picking up the Nikita rocket launcher, which is a guided missile launcher, by way of blowing ourselves up across an electrified floor. This saves a delirious amount of time. The 2nd floor in this is kind of a dot-to-dot maze puzzle, but somehow 10 times more infuriating. And Snake's sidling speed is not the fastest in the world, so the fact that we can just place a bit of C4 on the floor and send ourselves flying helps. But it is a very precise trick to pull off. And we get it first try. Carry on.
Oh, I was just gonna say there are a few ways to do the Nikita skip, but this is the fastest way, and yeah, great job getting on the first try.
Thank you. In other difficulties, people would throw a grenade at the wall and then get guards to come and shoot them to do the damage boost, but on easy, our alert timer doesn't last for long enough. So what I did there was I got a guard to shoot me to give me iframes so I could get across that electrified floor, and then threw a flashbang to take them out. And next we're going to head into the 3rd boss of the run. A man with a backpack made of fire.
So how many have we found now? 3 pillars out of the 4, or we have found all 4?
I believe we've found 3 so far.
There was 1 in the basement, or 2?
Yep.
Okay, so 1 and 2 up here so far. You're gonna see Kez now throw a grenade to get him in a stage where he can go behind him and stun lock him, or even to his side and stun lock him and just keep shooting him. That way, we don't have to worry about Pyro Bison's other phases whatsoever. And also another pillar.
Hey. It's always nice when the pillars are on the way to where you're going anyway, because the less out of our way we have to go to get them, the faster it is, obviously, but also the more consistent it becomes. And I will take that time.
Very good time. Normally the stage is like 8 minutes. If you go through the second floor, get the Nikita, do this and do that. But we skip all that.
Here's a fun fact about Pyro Bison. He is the only member of the Black Chamber whose backstory we never learn. As far as anyone can discern, he's just there because he's there. He's just happy to be included.
He's there because he can't leave. He can't get through those doors with those wide shoulders of his. Look at that. He's just stuck in that room forever. Until apparently he burns himself to death, but you know.
As one does.
E for everybody, by the way. This game is rated E for everyone.
This game talks about many kinds of assault. There's a man setting himself on fire. We see Snake smoking in the opening cutscene. There is swearing, but it is an E-rated game. So it's good to know that our kids have wholesome atrocities. So here we are on stage 9. The room below where I currently am could have a pillar, and I really hope it doesn't because I don't like getting there. Excellent. We have to go, to get down there, we have to go through a gauntlet of auto turrets and cameras and electrified floors, and I would rather not. I'm going to equip my C4 here so that we can be ready to jump into action when it is needed. Oh yeah, this wasn't mentioned earlier. These rooms that are wibbly-wobbly and vaguely changing colour are poisonous. The game expects us to pick up a gas mask, but at least on easy, we are never in one of those rooms long enough to require a gas mask. So we don't pick it up, because that would take time. And this is the generator we have to destroy. As you can see, there is no way we could get past that thin strip of electrified grating, especially with our rubber boots on, so the only sensible thing to do is to destroy the entire building. Oh, great. And just because it's force of habit and a good habit to get into, I go down there to check on that pillar. On this occasion I know that it's not, but there are times where I forget to check obvious spots and then wonder why I can't find the final pillar. So if you're thinking about running this game, that's a thing to look into and consider. And you should run this game because it is very fun and the controls are very responsive. Now we're going to make our way back to the beginning of stage 8. I'm going to pick up this ration because it's there. I'm also going to pick up 2 packs of grenades down here because the more grenades we can have for later on in the run, the better, because we need to blow up Metal Gear Gander with them, we need to blow up a helicopter with them. Take an alert there, but that is fine by me. And we're going to see the cam shot again, because to get to the elevator, we could go through that twisty, windy office again, or I could just shoot my way past that security camera and then not have to worry. Now, when we place down this final C4 block, we're going to get a phone call from the colonel telling us that to get away and get to safety. And then in about 20 steps or so from where we are now, it changes based on pillar. We're going to get another one saying, "There is no time. Blow the C4 now, Snake." Which is why we hope that that first pillar by the elevator at the beginning of the stage would have one, because then we've got further to go whilst the building is collapsing to get to the front door. And now we have to avoid bits of falling ceiling and fire. And we have a 5-minute time frame in which to do this, but realistically it's not going to take us 5 minutes. Whilst we're in here, I'm going to get my grenade and my rations ready for the upcoming boss fight, because we do not require anything else until that point.
I think I've read that the timer really doesn't do anything. Like, it's just there to scare the player into thinking, to make it more intense. I know the second timer that you have to see during the Viper fight, the second Viper fight actually means something, but this one, I'm not sure if there are any consequences to having the allotted time frame pass.
It's just there to make you go, "Oh no!"
Because 5 minutes is a very long time that it's giving you, so...
It really is. So coming out of this power plant after destroying it, we're going to encounter a familiar friend who got kidnapped by the enemy with his giant red parka and his haircut.
What's wrong with his hair?
Nothing. It just helps distinguish him from other characters. And also, this is the general being angry with us for blowing up his power plant. If you read into the story of this game, the enemy forces are like very understandable, and their motives are good, but unfortunately the good intentions are leading to negative things, and it makes some of the aspects of the game very emotionally punchy. But we're playing in Japanese, so not a lot of that matters to not a lot of people right now. And the reason why we're playing in Japanese is RTA, real-time attack. Over the course of a full run, Japanese saves you about 5 minutes on overall runtime compared to English. So we run it in Japanese because, while it doesn't affect the in-game time, it is nice to get a wiggle on.
I think his hair looks lovely.
And if you were wondering what those flashing lights were, Jimmy's handcuffs were laced with explosives, because this is a Metal Gear game, and things like that happen. Now we have some F-15s coming in to bomb all of the cannons that are on the mountainside that we're going to run up, so that we can do the stage that I like to call the full Kate Bush. And we'll be picking up grenades along the way, because we can never have too many grenades in this game. I think also an interesting thing to note that I'm not sure if we've brought up yet, here's the minefield again, is that when you defeat bosses, your maximum health and item capacity increase, which is very nice and useful. Just going to be zigzagging around this strangely shaped terrain. I'll be sort of fluttering the up key, because if you just hold up and sideways, you get caught on the rock face, which can lead to annoyance. So I sort of just flutter the up key as I'm holding sideways, and we avoid all of that. And oh look, that looked like Chris Jenner getting into a helicopter that's about to start bombing us. I sure hope this doesn't turn into a plot twist. So this is the Havoc helicopter. It always starts top left for some reason. And we're not going to complain about that because that's a known quantity. And we're just going to throw grenades at it until it stops. And it can sometimes go to the sides like so. Then it's just a case of timing our grenades efficiently so that they actually land a hit. There are faster ways of doing this, but I am not well practiced in those. That timing was way off, Kez. There we go, that's what we like.
And what we don't want is it to travel over our heads and drop bombs on us. That's what we don't want. And that's the copper fight.
Now, I've been spreading many fun facts about this game so far. This next character, as a fun fact, in the English version of the game, her text box appears. One of her text boxes appears on screen as the music in the background changes, which means that it lingers on the screen for an uncomfortable amount of time. And the phrase that comes up is "My father was French," and that always sticks with me. And whenever I play this game in English, I always get people in chat to just spam "My father was French" because it makes me smile.
I think there's one too for Marionette Owl.
There's one for each of the bosses, I believe.
Where the screen freezes for a second.
Yeah, because it's when the music changes, the game doesn't actually have enough memory to do both things at the same time. But the result of that is some hilarity. It's supposed to be for when there's a poignant moment, but you just get an out of context sentence of nothing just on the screen for a little while. So that was Sophia. She is the second in command of the GLF, but she was in love with the general and then found out that the general wasn't actually as noble or as idealistic as she had found out. So she's kind of disillusioned with the whole thing and has decided that she respects us now. Yeah, I need my C4.
The general's like the big boss of this game. And Viper,
Yes.
who we've barely seen, only that one instance where he was in the helicopter, is sort of the liquid in this game.
So we just picked up the Nikita missile launcher there, the one that we skipped in stage 8. But we're going to skip using it again because it's faster. So I'm going to line myself up on this wall, get electrocuted, run along some electrified flooring, which is great. And if Snake hasn't had enough of a bad day, I'm now going to blow him up with some more C4, which allows us to damage boost across all of the quote-unquote electrified parts of the floor, meaning that we don't have to go into this room in 6 different ways to fire a rocket.
Yeah, it reduces the backtracking.
And now we're going to blow up some electric boxes that electrify the floor, meaning that we can progress in terms of progression. The Nikita rockets in this can be, as anyone that's played MGS1 or MGS2 can attest, they are very difficult to control sometimes because you change, you turn a corner and they will slow down and then speed up again. And it can be, if you don't know what to expect from it, it can be quite a bit of a shock, and it can be very easy to lose track of what they're doing and where you're going.
Side note, if you speak English, the version you want to get is the European cart. It offers, I think, around 5 languages, but it also has the radio play, which the USA version does not have.
I tried reading the radio play once, but forgot I was doing that on my Japanese version of the game, and was wondering why I couldn't understand a word of it. So, as I mentioned, this is built on the remains of Outer Heaven, and you know what that means? It means it's time for a 50-floor elevator ride. So make yourself a cup of tea, maybe find a magazine to read.
I could sing Sneak Eater a cappella if you'd like, if it makes it more familiar territory to you.
You need to sing it backwards though, because we're going down, not up. So when we come out of this elevator, we're going to see a room that is a minefield. A guard will very carefully and considerately show us the path through the minefield so that we don't get blown up. And I'm going to need you to keep a very close eye on this, chat. I'm going to need you to help me remember the motions that we're making, because getting blown up is slow and we don't want to do that. So we need to watch this guy, and we need to follow his path exactly, okay?
Just like MGS1 and Meryl, right before Sniper Wolf shoots her.
Exactly. So this is the path I think that guard took. Absolutely flawless. I surprise myself. And for anyone wondering, yes, I do make that joke every single time. So on very hard, that laser room I just went through has a camera on the wall that will make your day very unhappy if it sees you, because that room is another one that will fill with gas and lock the doors whilst you're in there. So, but luckily on easy, we just have to wait for the lasers. In this one, it doesn't matter. And then move through unabated. And now begins the maze of bombable walls. This is the area I was talking about when I said they expect you to sidle up to every single wall in the area and tap on it to find out where you can blow up. But luckily, we already know where to blow up. Because this is my second time playing this game, and therefore I know everything. As proven by the fact that I got hit by those guards.
This game likes to troll you, so you'll find some walls that you can blow up that lead to absolutely nowhere. Just much like that puzzle earlier where all the doors were unlocked, but it doesn't tell you that, so you spend maybe 30 minutes till the guard comes up and shows you. So yeah, this game has a troll factor to it.
So, I'm probably going to show off that neat little Easter egg that I mentioned way back at the beginning of the game. It'll be in a few elevator rides' time. Just because I think it's a really cool thing for them to have included. I want my gun and I want my goggles. Another good thing to remember if you decide to pick this game up and run it, if you didn't see a laser turn off, assume it's going to turn back on now. Because the number of times I've been like, oh, the laser's off, I'll just run for that and then accidentally cause an alert. It's kind of embarrassing, I should know better by now. And we're just going to run into this room to reset some guard positions and RNG, so that we can move on over here towards the elevator room, and everything is gravy.
Yeah, you
and now we have...
Go ahead, Kaz.
I was just going to say, now we have a 48-floor elevator ride to go down, so not quite as bad as last time.
You don't want to get alerts when you have to ride an elevator, because the elevators will not work when there's an alert happening. It'll work when there's a fire, when the building is coming down, elevators will work, no problem. But when there's an alert, no can do. So you either have to wait it out or make sure you don't get alerts if you know you have to ride the elevator shortly after.
Pardon me. But yeah, if we do ever get an unwanted alert, the sort of method for dealing with that is to keep running between two rooms that you can get to, waiting a few seconds, then run back until the alert goes. But that takes quite a lot of time, and it's very possible that a guard may see you whilst you're doing that. Just gonna boop this guy. Boop. And there she is, Gander, in all of her glory. But I don't think we can see her well enough, so we're going to go down a floor to get a better view.
The Gander design is actually an unused concept design for Metal Gear Rex. This is why Yoshi Shikawa gets credit for it.
Interesting. I did not know that. There it is, a little bit bigger for anyone that wanted to see it a little bit bigger. And this is the last elevator we get to control in the game. We are very close to the end now, my friends. But that doesn't mean that the finale isn't going to be a nice little clencher. So yeah, this nice little Easter egg I was talking about. If we go over this way, and we go up here, then we get to see the Metal Gear from Metal Gear 1 in the state that Snake left it in. And I think that's really neat. If you ring Campbell on the codec whilst you're in there, you have a nice little reminisce about the days when this was out of heaven.
Model TX55, to be exact.
That's the one. I can never remember, like, when they have names like Zeke or Gander or Rex, I'm like, oh yeah, I know what that is. And then they're like, here is a list of numbers and letters, and my brain just says no. So we do not need our pass card anymore. All we need is weapons and rations, and we fight against Venom... Not Venom Snake. Wow, that was a Freudian slip. We fight against Blackheart's Viper. Now, a Viper is a venomous snake. This particular Viper had his arm removed in a firefight with Foxhound. Foxhound got too famous after the events of Metal Gear. They could no longer do black bag operations, so the American government sets up the Black Chamber. But Foxhound don't like that there's a new famous group in town, so they move in and try to take out the entire squadron. And in the resulting skirmish, Blackheart's Viper lost an arm, but refuses to wear a prosthetic because he needs to be reminded what he's fighting for, like Kazuhira Miller and Venom Snake. And also, his name is Viper, like a venomous snake. I'm not doing a very good job with these tripwires, but that's okay.
The trick with these wires, now, it's very tricky because after playing games for such a long time, you're expected to be like, okay, the white wires, you can't pass them, I'll pass them when they're gone. No, it's quite the opposite here. You can pass these solid white wires when they're visible. When they're not visible, they'll blow you up, and every time you blow up, you stay in place, and so does our friend Viper here. Under 8 minutes, great level, good job, Kaz.
Thank you. Some days that fight goes a bit better for me, some days it goes a bit worse, and today it went a bit better, so I cannot complain about that. And if I hadn't have gone to look at the Metal Gear, we'd have saved a bit more time, but it's a marathon run. I just want to point this out to the viewers. Chris Jenner is very definitely just staring at Snake's abs in almost this entire cutscene. They are very well defined, Chris, but stop.
This is a muscle suit. It's not even real.
Henry Cavill would play him in the movie.
I think you just want Henry Cavill to play him in the movie.
I mean, Henry Cavill has about the range of emotions of Snake. So we're coming up to the big fight with the Metal Gear now. Going to pick up some supplies along the way to make sure that we have the best chance possible. We're going to pick up that C4, some grenades here. We're going to pick up some Nikita ammo and some more grenades. And then we will be faced with the legs of Gander, wherein they will be hovering above our head. We will have to try and dodge him when he stomps and blow him up with our choice of either mines or C4. I will be going for the C4 strat because I find it more consistent and doable for myself. And then we'll get to fight the big boy himself from the waist up. Look at that perspective, though. And if all goes well, I will only need to use 6 C4. Is Campbell to quickly say to us, "Look out, there's a Metal Gear."
Now you can use C4, you can use Claymores. It depends on what you find easier. I find C4s easier. Also, they don't have to be exactly by the leg. That's how much of a radius, blast radius C4 has. But either or will do. And after this, you fight Gander Phase 2, where C4 and Claymores are useless. So, you know, might as well get them all out here.
There's quite a nice little cycle on the Gander Phase 2 coming up. You throw a grenade, wait for the explosion to vanish, throw another grenade, then immediately get out your Nikita and fire at the shoulder launcher. And I find that this makes things go very smoothly and consistently. When I was first trying to learn this boss fight, it was the biggest pain. I just could not get cycles or any kind of predictability to come up.
Now it takes it takes either 4 grenades or 4 Nikita missiles to destroy the shoulder cannons completely. Doesn't matter which one, as long as it's 4 of that. Or it doesn't have to be the same time. And then when you blow those up, you have to also worry about the missiles, and also they have ciphers in this game, which I don't know if we'll see. Maybe we'll do enough damage where we'll just pass the ciphers completely. The gun turrets don't go away. They go away in the very last phase when Gander starts shooting out its flamethrower. So right now our focus is the shoulder cannons, and then the missiles when they come out, and they should be coming out in a little bit. After we destroy this last shoulder cannon, probably.
An interesting fact about Gander 2 is on harder difficulties there are ciphers that come out. On easy there aren't.
Ooh.
So that's one fewer thing that we have to worry about, which is nice because this boss can easily overpower you if you're not paying enough attention.
If you do have chaff grenades, though, those take care of the ciphers. But luckily we don't have to deal with them here. I didn't know that. Thank you, guys.
You're welcome. Yeah, no, Easy has some bits that do make it, like, almost obnoxiously easy. But there are other bits that, because of how the mechanics of the game work and because of them being a bit more lenient, it actually makes certain things less controllable, which is very interesting.
Now, one more shot to the back will make us enter the last phase of Gander, I believe, because I think its HP is low enough for it to go into its next phase. Yep, you can tell because the gun turrets disappear, and out come the flames. And we're just gonna tank these flames because we have enough rations.
I managed to get double grenade throws on every flamethrower that time round. I am very happy with that.
Good stuff, good stuff.
And we come now to the final cuts. Well, it's not quite the final cutscene, but the final info dump of the game, wherein it has explained to us exactly what Project Babel is. America has decided that the world isn't Anglo-centric enough. So they sent in the UN to Gindra to force the government to basically give over to American authority. And the Gideon Liberation Front decided they didn't want that, which is why the Civil War broke out. Project Babel was basically America's plan to get rid of Gindran nationality entirely after quote unquote peace had been made. And our friend Chris Jenner was sent in not as a Delta Force operative, but to retrieve all of the data on Project Babel, which the General, in his dying moment, gives to us so that we can expose the American government for what they're trying to do, which is a very Metal Gear plot. But Gander is not dead. Gander's weapons may not be functional, but it can still connect to a satellite uplink with every satellite in orbit around the Earth, even the ones with nukes. All it needs to do is get to the surface. So Viper starts the elevator we're on, and it will take about a minute and a half to get to the surface, unless we can shoot him first. So we're going to shoot him first. Oh, where have you gone? So I'm running back and forth across this level because there's only certain places Viper can spawn, and he can't spawn anywhere that we can see. So by running back and forth across the level like this, I'm sort of manipulating where he will spawn to a vaguely known quantity so that we can dispatch him as quickly as is possible. And every single time you shoot him, he has something to say, which I feel like it's just stalling tactics after a certain point. And that is time on Metal Gear Ghost Babel.
Under a minute, too. If it was over a minute, you lose the excellent rank on that level, but because it was under a minute, you've achieved excellency.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, that was Ghost Babel. Now we're going to say goodbye to Sophie, and we're going to hop in a car with Chris and go back to America for a sequel that we never got. I spoke with the organisers. We've said that we're happy to go to in-game time screen so that we can see what is happening. If the announcers would like to say anything whilst we wait for that to happen, I am happy for that to happen.
Oh, thank you so much. Yeah, great, really great run. Kaz, I'd say we're going to go to the IGT. That's not a problem at all. Thanks everyone for watching. Shortly after this, we'll go to a brief intermission, and then we have one final run for Winter 2021's one-in-shot with one cool man running ground zeros. So do stick around, and we'll have that very, very soon.
Whilst we're doing this, I would like to thank the Metal Gear Speedrunners community for allowing me to take part in this and for being supportive. If you want to run any Metal Gear Solid game, there are loads of people here that will help you and that want to help you, and I'd like to thank Bad Humans for helping me with the commentary today.
Thank you for inviting me to this excellent run.
You are very welcome.
Thank you.
I would legitimately say that Ghost Babel is my favourite Metal Gear game that I have played so far. Partially because it is so impressive that they managed to fit so much content on a Game Boy Color cartridge. But it's very fluid to play. It's very fun to play. The stealth mechanics feel very rewarding. And I would highly and strongly recommend it. And now we get to listen to the best song in the game.
Yeah, I mean, even if you're not going to speedrun it, I do highly recommend that every single Metal Gear fan plays this game. It's a fantastic game. Maybe not in Japanese for your first playthrough, but definitely play it.
And also a big well done to Jag and D-Limes for their runs earlier. They were a lot of fun to watch. The race was incredible, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's always intense when you have a race of Metal Gear Solid 2 on Euro. It's also great when it's so close as well.
Yeah, and
Not easy
especially
at all.
when they're two incredibly skilled runners as Jag and D-Limes are.
You get to see a big boss run too. I mean, that's
Yeah.
pretty cool.
Yeah, it was unfortunate
And,
for Limes getting a transition alert. Like it's not obvious on stream, but if the alert sound rings out when you go through a door, it still counts.
Yeah, sometimes Metal Gear games they're out to get you sometimes.
Yeah, for sure.
And one Cool Man's Ground Zeroes run that is coming up is a lot of fun. One Cool Man is a very enjoyable runner to watch, and he has one of the nicest voices in speedrunning.
With Joseph commentating, right?
With Joseph Joestar commentating.
He's an excellent commentator, that Joseph. You watch out for him.
Yeah, the pair of them, I mean, have pushed that run, the times of that run down so far. It's a really well optimized run, very difficult run to perform as well. I always enjoy watching it. We got everything today, classic Metal Gear runs, some of the newest stuff. It's been a really cool day. I'm so grateful to ESA for accepting all these runs into their marathon as well. I think it's a big deal to get 4 Metal Gear games into one event.
It does like fill me with pride to know that so many people from our community are getting to represent the games that we love so much. Not quite as a block, but in something as big as ESA. It feels very cool. And the fact that I get to be a part of it is mental.
It wasn't that long ago where we would all sit waiting for the submissions for a marathon, you know, when they show the accepted runs, where we'd just be hoping that one game gets in. So 4 is just insane.
Sorry, carry on.
Yeah, I know that you know, ESA is obviously online at the moment, so the number of Metal Gear submissions they can get is a lot higher, but I think next time they are in person, you will see a lot of people from Europe who are willing to go and run Metal Gear games at the event.
Let's find out our in-game time then, friends. A 40:54 is a very respectable time, and I'm very happy with that.
Nice job.
Thank you very much. And thank you all for watching, and I'll hopefully see you on the 18th.
Yes, at your ESA run.
Yes.
Yeah, we will be tweeting out and announcing in the Discord when those runs go live at ESA as well. Thank you very much. Do you have anything else to add, Kez, before we jump to intermission?
No, I'm just pleased with how this went, and thank you all for giving me a slot at this little event.
Yeah, it was great having you. Thank you for the really good commentary as well, Bad Humans.
Hey, thanks for being a great host.
Oh, cheers. Alright, we'll jump to an intermission and we'll be back with One Cool Man in just a moment. Stick around, thanks.